What's up everyone, it's Victon here with another Path of Exile guide. This time we're going to be going over how to craft the 50% fire conversion gloves in the Harvest League. The gloves here on the screen is what we're going to be crafting, and honestly it's not too expensive and pretty straightforward once you know what to look out for. Just buying a pair like this straight up will cost you about 8 exalts minimum, and you can reliably craft them yourself anywhere from between 2 and 4 exalts. These gloves are pretty much mandatory for any of the 100% physical to fire conversion builds, like the super popular Blade Vortex fire conversion build right now, and any melee fizz to fire build as well, just to name 2 examples. Now before we get into it though, I do want to mention if you enjoy this guide, do consider liking the video and subscribing. I have several other Harvest build guides up right now and a bunch of crafting videos coming soon too. Alright, so with that said, let's go ahead and start with step 1. You're going to need to find a pair of gloves at least eye level 71 with the affix Topotantes on it. It's going to give you 25% physical damage converted to fire damage, and it comes with some fire damage on hit as well. It comes from a regular drop when wanting the temple, so I wouldn't suggest farming it yourself, it's going to take too long. Just go ahead and buy one with the mod already on it. Just make sure it actually is the Topotantes affix and not the Crusader 25% fire conversion. That is not what you want. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and post a link in the description to the exact trade link that you're going to want to find a pair of these gloves for the base that you want. You can pretty reliably buy a pair of these for anywhere between 1 to 10 chaos, so pretty cheap. If you do want a perfect base, for example the Fingerless silk gloves for any caster build or spike gloves for any melee build, it will cost you a bit more, at least an exalt or 2 for the base. But that's only if you want to min-max, so you're going to be just fine with the 1 to 10 chaos base to start off with, no problem. I also suggest you buying a pair with the least amount of prefixes and suffixes possible, and one where you can target, harvest, remove any mods that you don't need. And that brings us to step 2. For the example gloves I got here, I have a pair like this. It already had 2 suffixes, so with step 2 you're going to need to block prefixes so that when we slam a Crusader's orb, we can only slam a Crusader's suffix. If you don't do this, you can accidentally slam a Crusader's prefix, and it has a chance to roll a mana mod that you can not remove later, and it will basically brick the item. So block prefixes however you need to do, whether that be from bench crafting or harvest crafting, and that brings us to step 3. Step 3 is to slam a Crusader's Exalt. If you block the prefixes, you're going to go ahead and get a Crusader's suffix. And that is going to be 100% able to remove with harvest crafting later, which you will need to do. In my case here, I got chance to avoid being stunned while casting, which I can remove with a caster mod. For step 4, you want to remove one of your prefix mods so that you only have 2 prefix mods. The additional 25% fizz to fire that comes from the Crusader's influence is a prefix. We also don't want to hit a fire resist when you augment fire, so you're going to need to block suffixes as well. Once we have 3 suffixes and 1 open prefix augment at least, we're going to go ahead and slam a fire augment. The only thing that you can get is the fizz converted to fire mod. There's a T1 and a T2 version of this, so you actually have a 50% chance to get T1, which is what you need. Step 5 is if you get the T2 physical to fire and you need to remove it and keep going until you get T1. Basically here you're just going to want to remove physical from harvest crafting. Do not remove fire since it will have a chance at removing your original Topotantes affix, and that would brick the item. Instead, like I said, remove physical mod. Once you've removed the T2 fizz to fire, make sure you have an open prefix and all suffixes blocked like we did before, and augment fire again. Repeat this process until you have a T1 fizz to fire. For T6, once you get your T1 physical to fire, you're going to randomize physical or fire until you get a total of 50% physical converted to fire. With Avatar Fire, that makes for 100% of your physical damage converted to fire. And for step 7 and your last step, you're going to go ahead and remove any unwanted mods with harvest crafting. Then we're going to augment to get life, 2 elemental resists, and I would suggest getting a chaos resist as your 3rd resist. Then just like any other craft, we're going to remove/augment until you get all T1 mods, and then randomize until you get max of all of those T1 mods. I'd suggest not putting fire resistance on these gloves because randomizing will affect both your fire resistance as well as your fizz to fire roll, and definitely, like I said, never remove fire. So just go for cold, lightning, and chaos resist. That would be my recommendation. Once you've done that, you are done, and you have some sick gloves. I've made several of these now to sell, and I typically end up spending anywhere between 1 to 4x for a perfect T1 to all mods item, and usually sell them for about 7 to 8 exalts. The process is actually super easy and reliable, so you can definitely profit craft these if you want, or of course you can just craft them from your build and save some currency rather than just buying them yourself. Anyways, that's it for this craft. If y'all have any questions about this craft or any other crafts, feel free to leave a comment and I'll definitely help y'all however I can. Also leave a comment on what some of the crafts are that y'all would like to see in some of my next videos. I do have several craft videos coming out specifically for some chaos builds that I've been doing, so expect those in the next few days as well. Remember, subscribe and like the video if y'all enjoyed. Thanks everyone, and I will see y'all in the next one.